What's up, everybody? Mhm. Give you guys some time to get into the chat room. Since this isn't a review or anything like that, it's going to be chill. What up, guys? What up, Casey? That was the first one here, huh? I don't want my TV won't turn off. It'll turn off on its own eventually, whatever. Yes, it's our end of the year stream, guys. You too, Stuart. You too. And my Christmas wasn't the best this year. I had some personal stuff going on, but we survived. We survived. I hope you guys had a good holiday. Yes, so I guess we'll get started. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is your boy Fitzmonk TV here, aka G133. I am back here today with a special episode of the Legit Shoot podcast. Here today with your WWE, or I guess not this WWE, because we're gonna probably talk a little bit about AEW as well. But I'm here today with your 2021 professional wrestling year in review. For some of you guys who are new to the channel, I usually do this almost every year on around New Year's Eve, around that time. We usually just do a chill stream where we just talk about everything that happened in 2021 when it comes to professional wrestling, mainly WWE. But like I said, we will probably talk a little bit about AEW. We talk about the highs, a lot of the lows. You know, it's just supposed to be a chill stream. I'm not gonna, I'm gonna try not to rant or anything like that, but no promises. But usually, I let you guys in the chat kind of direct where, things we talk about. I do have a list of things I want to talk about, but of course, this is really just, just to hang out, and, just look back at this year, from a wrestling standpoint, and yeah, just to have a good time. Uh, and like I said, super chats are open, so as always, if you guys want to donate to the channel, everything that the channel makes gets reinvested into the channel, so we can upgrade our quality, all that stuff. Like this new mic, for example. You guys know my Elgato Wave, the a part of it snapped off. Right, it's still right here. It works perfectly fine. It's a great microphone. I love it. But the part that attaches to this fell off, and unfortunately I can't use it right now. So I could still use it if I want to like hold in my hands for like 2 hours when I'm talking, but I kind of don't want to have to do that. So I still have my Elgato Wave right here, but I use a lot of the money, or no, all of the money, not all the money, but I use, part of what I make from YouTube and this podcast just to get this mic. So that's a perfect example. I don't, everything that I make on this channel goes back into the channel, so I want to thank you guys for all your support. So, of course, if you guys want to donate or anything like that, I don't ask you guys to, but you guys always have the option. If you guys choose to, the super chat uh, uh, option is there. Uh, just quick programming note. It's been a big week. I've been posting podcast content all week. I feel like I posted more podcast content this week alone than I have probably in the last month, right? And for those of you guys who are very loyal to the channel, you guys know why I feel this way because WWE as a whole has just been weak. It's just been unenjoyable to the point where I didn't want to review the shows. And uh look, in years past, you guys know I would sit here every single week, no, but regardless of how good or bad the show was, I would give you guys a review. Now, personally for me, I have a lot more going on in my personal life. I have a full-time job that I love, and I got other things, and I love YouTube. If I had to pick a career, I would pick doing YouTube full time. And being a full-time YouTuber is hard. There's so many people out there that struggle, being full-time YouTubers. I'm not a full-time YouTuber. I don't have if I could get there one day, that would be great. But right now, I have a job that I really enjoy, and but I love doing YouTube as the side. I've been doing YouTube since what was it, 2013? I think my freshman year of high school, I started my YouTube channel, uh, and then at the end, what is it now? We're in 2021. Yeah, I've been doing this since my freshman year of high school. And then now here I am, out of college. So I've been on YouTube now. I've had this channel for nearly a decade. I think if we're being specific, I've had this channel now for about 8.5 years, something like that. Eight, close to 9 years. Uh and I'm looking in the chat. I see you guys. I'll answer some of those questions in a little bit. Like I said, if you guys have questions, today's the stream for you guys. Usually if I'm doing a podcast, I'm sticking to the show. I don't always look at the chat, but if you guys have questions, you guys have stuff like that, today's the day to ask them. It's supposed to be a chill stream. We're just gonna sit here and relax for like 2 hours or so and just talk. But if you guys have questions about me, you guys have questions about wrestling, just have them lined up and I'll get to them as we go through. And like I said, super chats are open. But anyway, uh, I've been doing YouTube now for 8 years, 9 years. I've had this channel. And for those of you guys, I've been doing wrestling for a good amount of that time. This channel started off as a gaming channel, and I have every single video I've ever made is still on this channel. This is that a good amount of those early channels are on, or early videos are on private, because a lot of those videos are pretty bad from a quality perspective. Like a lot of the videos I did back then was a lot of the videos I did back then were gaming videos with my phone. So I wasn't that great at quality at all. Plus, I was a freshman in high school. As time went on, I evolved. I evolved as a YouTuber, and I got better. And I've been covering wrestling on this channel since I think 2015. You know, and for many of those years, never got any views, but I still reviewed the shows. I don't know why. I do know why. It was just that I loved making content. You know, and no matter how bad WWE was, yeah, I would still make content, even to when I officially made this podcast in, what was it, 2018, when me and my buddy Moose, aka Anthony, we made this podcast in 2018. That was when this podcast officially became the Legit Shoot podcast. All those videos before were just random WWE videos, but 2018 was around the time when we officially made this the Legit Shoot podcast. And that's when we wanted to really build up the brand. We really wanted to make this a big thing. And we had our own separate channel, right? I still have access to all those videos. Maybe one day I'll upload them on here so you guys can see some of the greatness we had on that channel. But uh but you know, then as the years got by, right, Moose stopped doing the podcast because he just didn't really care about wrestling. I don't blame him for how bad WWE was. So I just continued the podcast on here for the last couple of years, right? And you go, for the most part, the last couple of years, no matter how bad WWE would get, I would be here every single Monday, Friday, give you guys the review, no matter how good or bad the show was. This year things changed. Like I said, I have a lot more going on in my personal life. I have a job, that I really enjoy. I graduated college, you know, and some other things happen here and there. And look, I just really like making content that I enjoy. Every once in a while, of course, uh, if WWE does something that I have to talk about, I will turn the channel on. But for the most part, if I'm being 100% honest, WWE has gotten to the point where it's really, I don't want to sit here and waste time ranting for 2 hours, if they just don't care. If something happens on the show, like somebody gets released or somebody makes a big return or something big happens, yes, I'm going to turn the camera on regardless, because that's something huge that, you guys are going to want my thoughts and I'm going to cover that. But for the most part, with WWE's garbage, this year, right? With WWE's garbage this year, it's just the rinse and repeat nonsense. And I just don't feel like coming on here, because I have other things I could be doing. And I know you guys want the content. You guys want me to come on here and give my thoughts all the time. I appreciate the support. It means the world. I didn't have that support really back in 2015 when I only had like 200 subscribers. Like here we are, we're about to hit 8,000. You know, and so, God willing, at some point we'll hit 10,000 next year. But the thing is, if WWE's just not gonna, if they're just not gonna, give us anything to care about, I'm not gonna waste my time sitting here reviewing the show. If they're not gonna put no effort into your programming, I'm not gonna sit here and waste my time. I have other things I could be doing. This is not me from a couple of years ago who had free time all the time, who all I was doing was going to college, having classes. I actually have a life, So so it's just me being honest. And that's going to continue in 2022. If WWE wants to be pathetic and they want us not to care about anything, I'm not going to sit here and waste 2 hours ranting about it. If something important happens, I will gladly turn on the camera. And because I love that podcast, I love talking, I love talking. And you guys enjoy the podcast, but I'm not going to sit here and waste time for 2 hours if WWE is going to give us something not to care about. For those of you guys who didn't check out the AEW Dynamite review, tell me not. That was an enjoyable review. I didn't rant. The outside of my Tony Storm rant, if you guys missed that, go check out that AEW review from Wednesday. I spent the first 30 minutes of that podcast just ranting about Tony Storm and how WWE failed her, right? But outside of that, the last hour of that review, I was chill and I was having a good time. We were talking AEW and how, enjoyable stuff from CM Punk to MJF and, the Undisputed Era, and how their feud's going to go with the Young Bucks and all these other things. It was enjoyable because I wasn't wasting time. I was actually enjoying, the wrestling that was put on my screen. At the end of the day, I am a wrestling fan. You guys see that poster back there? That poster of me when I met Sasha, what was it, 2018, 2017? The years go by so fast now. But that's a wrestling fan back there. That's not a podcast, guy. That's a wrestling fan back there. This guy at the heart, I am a wrestling fan and I want WWE to succeed. But the way things are structured right now, WWE is not enjoyable. It's not. It's rare that maybe once a month that you get a decent Raw or SmackDown, and most of the time it's a SmackDown. It's not even a Raw. Maybe most of the time the pay-per-views are okay or decent, but for the most part, WWE's creative is not enjoyable, and that's a good transition into 2021, in my opinion. And I feel like a broken record because I feel like I've said this. I feel like I feel like this year in general was WWE's worst creative year ever. It really was. I've said this maybe the last 3 years on this channel because WWE just continues to get worse and worse and worse. And the big thing about WWE's creative that was so bad this year was all of the releases of talent that was supposed to be the future of this company. How many videos and streams did we have this year just talking about WWE releases? Right? Maybe we did 4 or 5 of those streams. I'm thinking all the way back to probably April or March when they first did that. How many times did WWE have a huge slate of releases? Right? No matter if it was on the Bray Wyatts to the Braun Strowmans to the Aleister Blacks to the Ruby Shohos, the Tegan Knox, the Ember Moons, the Tony Storms, the list goes on and on and on. That was the big thing with WWE. Not only was their creative awful, but they got rid of the future of their company. Do you have the future? No matter how much you can talk about AEW, when you talk about AEW, has more of the uh AEW has maybe the star power, right? Because AEW, they have a huge focus in just having big stars. Just look at their programming. You have like CM Punk, Darby Allin, Sting, MJF, Jericho, Cody Rhodes, and all these other names, right? AEW is focused a lot on star power. And their roster is becoming a little bit bloated now because they have a little too much star power. Especially now, let's say Johnny Gargano goes to AEW early next year and they add a few more names to the women's division. AEW's roster is becoming highly bloated because they have such a focus on star power. WWE had star power and young talent, enough young talent that you could take a bunch of that young talent and make your own brand with that young talent alone. And the thing about it is, WWE had everyone. They had the tag teams, they had the women, they had the mid carders, they had the future main eventers. They had all those names to set up their company for the next decade for success. But instead, WWE did nothing with them. Why? Because Vince McMahon is petty and he was jealous that Triple H made these guys famous and he didn't. And he released most of them and all of these other names. It's truly pathetic. You know, it's it's pathetic if you ask me, because you just look you just look at WWE. They had their roster, they had the future of the company in their hands, and they just let it go. And then you look at who's left. Let's be serious for a second, right? WWE wants to talk about how NXT, right? They revamped NXT because they want to have a younger focus. Let's be serious here for a second. Do you truly believe that NXT roster, the new NXT 2.0 roster that they have, do you truly believe that that's going to be the future of NXT and WWE for 5-10 years to come? How many of those guys will actually come out and be big stars, legitimate stars, future world champions? I don't know. Maybe there's only 3 or 4 people, and that's me being nice about it. Like, still, WWE, Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard and all those yes men, right? They hit a big fat reset button. They hit a big fat reset button, right, on NXT and all their young talent. When they had the young talent there, and you look at it, why? What's another one of WWE's big problems? They have main event stars, but they're always the ones at the top, aka the Roman Reigns, aka the Charlotte Flairs, aka the Becky Lynch, right? The ones who sit atop the mountain, always holding the championships, and they bury everybody. And then they wonder why WWE can't make any new stars, because you have the same people on the top of the mountain all the time. What made the Attitude Era so great? Right? You had Stone Cold and you had The Rock, right? You had The Undertaker, but never did one man always sit at the top of the throne. I know some people may bring up like Triple H, right? Because Triple H, when the World Heavyweight Championship was introduced, Triple H was, that you could call that the Triple H title if you wanted to, because Triple H held the World Heavyweight Championship hostage for most of the 2000s, right? The early 2000s. But, you had those top guys, and you were also able to bring up new top guys like Kurt Angle, for example. It wasn't always Stone Cold Steve Austin holding a title for a year. You guys gotta remember, Stone Cold Steve Austin hit most of his world title reigns during the Attitude Era. They were only about 3 months long, 3-4 months long. He didn't hold the title for a long amount of time, right? because they would have Stone Cold hold the title for a couple months, then they would give it to The Rock, then give it to Triple H or Undertaker or Kane, right? Then they'll give it to Kurt Angle, and they would always make sure to let someone else have their turn with a belt. And even still, when those names weren't holding titles, they still were relevant. They were still in epic storytelling. And that's one of the reasons why the Attitude Era was so enjoyable, right? It feels like WWE, when they look at people like Roman Reigns and Becky and Charlotte, if they're not holding a title, we have nothing for them. And that's sad. It's sad because you're giving nobody else a chance. Nobody else a chance, right? What makes Sasha and Bayley so good? When they are not holding titles, they're still, able to captivate you with what they're doing in the ring and backstage. That's one of the reasons why when Sasha and Bayley ran WWE throughout the early part of the pandemic, that's why WWE was able to stay afloat, right? Becky or Charlotte, look at it, right? When Becky was not holding a title, was she relevant? Outside of maybe the storyline with Ronda Rousey, no, she wasn't. Charlotte, she's been in the title picture her entire main roster run, even her NXT run. Wait, how many good storylines has Charlotte had when she wasn't in a championship picture? Honestly, think about that for a second. How many good storylines has Charlotte had when she wasn't in the title picture? There's not many. Not many. And Roman Reigns, please. Roman Reigns, I don't even have to explain that one. All right? Roman Reigns has been, don't get me started on the Roman Reigns babyface era. And think about it is I can't say anything about heel because Roman's been champion the entire time he's been a heel, and you've had him run through the entire main roster, essentially. He's run through everyone. Take the legends out of it, he's run through the entire main roster, which is the reason why. Look at SmackDown now. Reigns is only there maybe twice a month. It's like 1 week he's there, then he's on vacation the next week. All right? And the thing about it is we're entering WrestleMania season, right? Roman hasn't done anything as of late. They're doing this whole Brock Lesnar thing, but thinking about it is we hear all this. They want Roman to hold the title all the way till next year, right? For that big match with The Rock, if it ever happens. But here's the thing. Who's left? Who's left for Roman the face? I've been saying that all year long. All year long. I don't care how great Roman Reigns is, right? Here, this is the peak because you're not going to get a better Roman Reigns than the Roman you're getting right now. You're not. WWE can have all these visions of Roman Reigns turning babyface again, right? And then, Roman being the top babyface in the company. You're not going to get a better Roman than you're getting right now. You're not. And the thing about it is, Roman, it isn't the best in the world. He's great as a heel. I'll give him that. And he's gotten better in the ring as the years have went on. And this has been a great run for him. I'm not sitting here trying to discredit what Roman's done. But here's the thing. You've had Roman run through everyone on the main roster. There's no one left. Ever since John Cena, right, left at SummerSlam. Like, what has Roman truly done? You did the match with Lesnar, which I guess people enjoyed. You had the match against Big E at Survivor Series, even though I was the only podcaster that was saying Big E should win that match because it would mean more for Big E than Roman. Roman didn't need that victory. But instead, no, you had Roman run through Big E at Survivor Series, right? And then what? I think you did the match with Finn Balor. And Finn Balor has not been the same. All that talk we heard of Finn Balor being, remember, Finn Balor was supposed to be the big replacement for Drew McIntyre since Drew McIntyre got moved to SmackDown, right? What has Finn Balor done on Raw since he lost to Roman Reigns? He's done pretty much nothing. I almost forgot. I don't think Balor was Balor even on Raw this past week? I don't think so. And Balor hasn't done anything, even though Balor should be in the WWE title picture. But hey, I don't know. I don't know, man. And that's the problem, And I'm being serious with you guys. I'm over the Roman Reigns thing. I seriously am. Look, I'm not saying Roman's not great, but to me, it's kind of run its course. You've done it over the last year and a half. You've had him run through everyone. And I think it's time to start building up the next person. And the sad thing is, you don't have anybody built up. You had Roman run through everyone. Then you've released anybody that could have been, that young talent. Because in theory, right, when you have Roman have as dominant a reign that he has had, you know, the next person, the person that should be taking that title off Roman, should be a young star that should be captivated into the biggest stars of the company because they beat somebody as dominant as Roman. That's the way this is supposed to go. But the thing about it is, you release Karrion Cross, you release Keith Lee, you release Aleister Black, you release every single person that Roman could have made into a big star, right? And Big E's on Raw, so that's out the window too. You look at the landscape going to WrestleMania season, and you start looking at who Roman could face. Could be Brock Lesnar. We'll see what happens at day one, right? I don't think Lesnar's winning at day one, but you don't know, especially with the whole Paul Heyman thing. You don't know. And then Roman, uh, who else is there to face? You released Jeff Hardy's no longer with the company, so you can't do Roman and Jeff Hardy, right? Roman and Sheamus, even though that would be a good match, Sheamus, there's no belief that Sheamus would beat Roman at all, so I don't want to see it. The only person you have is Drew McIntyre. And I guess you can make a conversation that, we can have a conversation that could happen because Drew never got that big WrestleMania win a couple years ago because the pandemic hit at the worst time. But the thing about it is, if Drew McIntyre is going to be the one to take that title off Roman, isn't that disappointing at the end of the day? That's disappointing because the whole point of a dominant reign like this is supposed to set up the next big star in the company, not someone that's already a star. Drew McIntyre is already one of the top baby faces in the company. In theory, if you wanted Drew McIntyre to become champion again, you could have done that in a different way. And it's sad. It's sad because Roman's reign should end with putting someone over and building a new star, right? Not putting over someone who is already a star in Drew McIntyre. And it just shows that WWE's biggest problem from throughout this year. They had the talent and they got rid of them. It's sad. It really is despicable if you ask me. But what do I know? What do I know? But we're going to talk a lot about, the failures of WWE this year, some of the goods, which there's not many, right? But I'm going to let me look in the chat. Like I said, if you guys have questions for me, this is the day to ask them, Let me just turn off the heat in my room really quick. One thing that's funny is my mom came in about 10, 15 minutes ago. If you guys saw it, that was my mom who came in a little bit earlier. One thing, I'm Haitian American, so my parents are from Haiti, but I was born here, but I'm a Haitian. One thing that we do at the every New Year, right? We kind of do a fast, kind of just something to prepare ourselves to enter the new year to have the best and healthiest year possible. We have this thing called soup jumu, and I want to point it to the camera, but I know it'll fall out of the bowl. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but soup jumu, it's soup but with like spinach and carrots, and it's not my favorite, but it's kind of tradition. So I'm just gonna put that to the side. So let's see what kind of questions we got. So I'm gonna go up. Thank you, Roy, for that message. Big on wrestling. If you want to see the picture of me and Sasha in the best quality, let's go to my Twitter page. Like it's my profile pic on Twitter. So just go to the link in the description. You can find the picture. It's right there. Uh, did I see JD's video on Tony Storm? I did. He released it after mine. I thought JD was on vacation this week, so I was surprised to see him post. But you know, uh, I agree with everything he said for the most part. And then I didn't really, I did. I talked about it a little bit. And I guess I'll bring up the article in just a sec. Just let me answer these text messages. Uh, my boy JDE sent me like an article that explained, the details on what happened with Tony Storm. And so the big thing is, he said, I think this is Dave Meltzer, but in a quote, I asked around and my sources confirmed to me that Tony Storm did fly out last night following the WWE live event and added that she paid out of her own pocket to fly herself home. So she booked her own flight. I was told, turns out Tony didn't exactly request her release. She just up and quit. She worked a triple threat at a house show last night and then paid out of her own pocket to fly herself home. Additionally, it was stressed to me that WWE handling it as her asking for her release and then them granting it because after so many times were released due to budget cuts this year, it's like meh, right? And the roster was blindsided by the news, and of a female WWE main roster talent, anonymously said it's fucking wild. She's just gone. Didn't really tell anyone. So basically Tony Storm just quit. And one of the things I've been hearing is that she was burnt out, and I don't blame her. I don't blame her at all. This is WWE we're talking about, But I think it was more just burnt out from creative. I'm not gonna say I don't think she was burnt out from touring, because I'll give WWE credit on this. Ever since they have went back on the road, with like the exception of this week, they've done actually a decent job with their touring schedule. Now, for example, if you're a SmackDown superstar, you're only on the road 3 days a week, unless you're doing like endorsements or something like that. Because say you have a SmackDown taping on Friday, you're probably gonna have 2 live events on Saturday and Sunday, and then you're done. But I give WWE credit on that, for reducing, because for the most part, WWE superstars would spend 5 days a week on the road, 52 weeks a year, with very little vacation time. At least now they get a couple extra days of rest. I know with the holiday tour, right? They are on the road almost every day, just for these couple weeks, because it is the holiday tour and they want to get to all these spots before the end of the year. But you know, uh, still, I don't think it was burnt out from like the tour. I think she was burnt out from creative. Imagine all the success she had in NXT, being the NXT UK champion, right? Being one of the pioneers of the NXT women's division, and then coming up on the main roster and then them doing nothing with you. She was in a couple 24/7 championship segments, right? And she was in the Survivor Series match, but they didn't really feature her that much. And then all you were fed the Charlotte Flair. Some people be like, "Oh no, you had a women's title match with Charlotte Flair, one of the best in the world." Fuck out of here! First of all, Charlotte's not one of the best in the world. She's overrated as all hell. And still, Tony probably went into that knowing, I'm not winning the title. I'm not gonna look any better coming out of this. I'm just here to make Charlotte look good because that's all that matters. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. And Tony Storm was just like, fuck this. I'm done. Right? I'm gonna go home. And then, I'll take a couple months off, get myself right, and then I'll go join AEW, a real women's division, a division that actually will prioritize me. That's exactly what's happening. You know, she's gonna be in AEW. Tegan Knox will be in AEW. Ember Moon will be in AEW. And then they will show WWE why WWE was retarded to release them. And the thing that's sad is The way WWE, it says here, right? WWE handling it as her asking for her release and then them granting it. Because after so many talents were released due to budget cuts this year, it's like meh. Shows you that WWE has no value in Tony Storm. I said it on the AEW review. If Sasha or Becky or Bayley, right, or Charlotte, if one of them asked for their release, WWE would fight with them to stay. Because WWE, those are the only people that WWE really cares about in their women's division. The fact that they were just like, she flew home and she just quit. WWE just didn't care. They're just like, okay, bye. We're making budget cuts anyway. That shows you that WWE had no care about Tony Storm from the start. The fact that he just let her go and that WWE had no problem with Tony Storm asking for release, it's pathetic. It's pathetic. And it shows one of their problems. WWE has no value. Right? WWE has no value for its employees, the ones who bust their asses, the ones who would compete, in the Thunderdome with no crowd, right? No crowd. WWE has no care for them. And it's pathetic. It truly is pathetic. Imagine busting your ass like that and WWE just having no care for you. Just saying, oh, you want out? Fine. Goodbye. We don't care, but we didn't really care about you to begin with. You were just a pawn for us to make Charlotte Flair look better. That's truly what it is. That's truly what it is. So, I did see JD's video on Tony Storm. I agree with him 100%. Tony will be fine. Tony Storm will be fine. She'll be fine. She'll be in AEW in a couple months, and her career will go on. She'll be just fine, right? It's WWE's loss, not Tony Storm's loss. This is probably the best thing for her career. It's like she gets to take a couple months off, get healthy, right? Kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Find herself mentally, right? Reset herself, recharge herself, and then she'll end up in AEW around March or April, right? And then she'll be all set and ready to go. She'll be fine. It's WWE's loss. And think about it, the sad thing is WWE doesn't even care. So, all right, question answered. One of my thoughts on the Roman Reigns shirt that says the needle mover. I think that's one of the stupidest shirts in all of WWE history. I don't even remember the last time I bought a WWE shirt, to be honest. Like I have a bunch of WWE shirts from years past, but I don't think I bought any WWE shirts this year. Because I first of all, I just don't like WWE's merch. Like my cousin bought me a Roman Reigns shirt, just for my birthday for some random reason. It was a good shirt. I forget what shirt it was. I think it was the Wreck Everyone and Leave shirt, right? And it's somewhere back there, but I think that was the only WWE shirt I got this year. But Roman Reigns, most of his merch I like, even though WWE gives him too many shirts, he has like a new shirt every month. Like if you look at, the amount of merch Roman's had this year, it's kind of ridiculous. Even though a good amount of those shirts I like, but I just not gonna buy them. But that needle mover shirt is horrific and doesn't make any sense because if you look at the SmackDown ratings have been horrific. The SmackDown ratings have been horrific. What needle does he move? Roman Reigns has never been a needle mover at any point in his career, especially now. If you want to get in depth on this, guess who, guys, produces the highest rated segments on SmackDown every week? It's Sasha Banks, the best female wrestler in the world. And that's not cap. Just go look at Sean Ross app. He has the stats. When Sasha Banks' segments have been the highest viewed segments on SmackDown television the last couple months. Most of this year. And why is that? Even without a title, Sasha's the best in the world and she captivates people. No matter if it's a tag team match, no matter if it's a match against Shotzi Blackheart or Shayna Baszler, right? But, she captivates audiences. And that's going to be a big thing for SmackDown going into going into WrestleMania season, right? And, if we're getting Sasha and Charlotte at WrestleMania like we all believe we are, that's going to be huge. I'm telling you, man. And, the highest segments aren't going to be Roman Reigns and Lesnar or Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre. It's going to be whatever Sasha's doing with Charlotte, because real wrestling fans know who the real needle mover is. It's just facts. That t-shirt's really, it makes no sense. I think WWE is stupid for releasing that design, but hey, they're just trying to make money. That's what WWE cares about these days. They care about money. They don't care about anybody else. So yeah, that's my thoughts there. Roman wins, everyone suffers. Yep, I do agree with you there. Stop with this Waller talk, man. Is Waller on the main roster? So I see a lot of you guys talking about the NXT guys. Stop. You guys know that these NXT guys are not going to be Roman. Waller's not even on the main roster right now. Like, I like Waller. His NXT UK reign was historic, and it was great. And he's one of the best performers in that company. But I will say it once, and I will say it again, right? If you really think Vince is gonna have an NXT guy beat Roman, then you're delusional. You're fooling yourself. There's nobody from NXT that stands a chance against Roman, especially when you know that Vince McMahon is running both shows. You guys think about that? Vince McMahon is running both shows these days. So it's not happening, guys. It's not happening. Raw is not even on the main roster. And even if Raw was on the main roster, do you trust WWE to book him the way Triple H did? I don't. We've seen how every single one of Triple H's top guys has been treated. From the Keith Lees to the Karrion Crosses to the Johnny Garganos. We all know them. And all of them are gone for a reason. So I don't want to hear that. I'm sorry, man, but no, if Walter was built up correctly, hell yeah, I would have no problem with him being the one to take the title off Roman. But it's not. It's not going to happen. WWE and Vince doesn't put any value in NXT. He doesn't. NXT has, in my opinion, fallen completely off the map. But it's WWE. That's WWE's fault. I don't see anybody from NXT being built up to take that title off Roman. The fact that you guys want to believe that, man, come on. WWE doesn't value younger talent. So why the hell would you? What makes you believe that WWE would build up Waller to build up Waller to be the one to take the title off Roman Reigns? Like, come on. Use your head, guys. Use your head. You guys are talking about Sasha's babyface. Yes, Sasha right now is a babyface. She is absolutely killing it. Killing it. That's probably the one thing that makes me excited for next year is to see what happens with babyface Sasha. She is on a roll right now as a babyface, and it's good to see. Hopefully it translates to her winning the Royal Rumble and then finally getting that first WrestleMania victory. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, man. Yeah, Sasha right now is a babyface. She's absolutely killing it. And it looks like she's really happy too. If you see her at live events, she's having, she's having fun. And that's big to see. I'm happy Sasha's having fun as a babyface right now. See if she's at the live event, she's just having so much fun, and I cannot wait to see what happens next year. I could sit here and book if I truly want to. I could sit here and book how WWE should book Sasha throughout the entire year. Talk about how Sasha should win the Royal Rumble. Talk about how Sasha should win at WrestleMania. Who should she face as opponents? But here's the thing. I don't know because every single time I try that, WWE releases half of its roster, especially with the women, right? Tegan Knox and Ember Moon and Tony Storm. feuds that I would love to see Sasha Banks have, especially over the SmackDown Women's Championship. But the thing about it is, do you know they're gone? We'll never get to see those matches, at least in WWE. I do think there's a possibility maybe one day Sasha ends up in AEW, right? Same way Brian Danielson was able to leave WWE. I could see Sasha doing the same thing if she really wants to. I don't know. We'll see. But uh you know, look, I can't book Sasha in 2022 if I don't know who's going to be on the roster. Who knows? For all we know, 2022, by the end of next year, the only people left in that women's division could be the Four Horsewomen. But the way that at the rate people getting released, because like I said, people like Shotzi Blackheart, Shayna Baszler, Liv Morgan, right? I would watch out. They could be next. Dana Brooke. I don't even know how Dana Brooke signed after all these years, but still, they could be next. So we'll have to wait and see. But look, at this rate, I'm not gonna sit here and book Sasha Banks in 2022 if I have no idea who's even on the main roster. I don't know. But because WWE just they just want to get rid of everybody. I do know one thing that I'm not gonna say I'm excited about. I'm just intrigued about is WWE 2K22. Right. But the thing about it is who's even on the roster for that game? Who knows how many times? We know that game's being delayed to I think about May, I believe. But who knows who's even gonna be who knows who's gonna be in that game? Because with the way WWE releases superstars every 3 or 4 months, I'm willing to bet 2K has to go back into their data files and then rework the entire roster, right? Who knows how many times they had to delete the Fiend and Braun Strowman, right? Since they're no longer signed with the company. And if if 2K wants to use their likenesses, WWE has to pay those guys. Even with the Fiend and Braun Strowman no longer with the company, 2K would have to pay those guys to have their likenesses in the game. So I am very intrigued for that game because we have not gotten the WWE video game in a couple years. 2K20 was an abomination, right? That game was horrific. The last good WWE game was 2K19. I think, yeah, that was the year AJ Styles was on the cover, so I just want to, see if it's a playable game because I miss playing WWE video games. I miss that. I never played 2K Battlegrounds. I have no plans ever to touch that game, but I'm just looking. I just want a fun WWE game, just a fun day with a good My Career, right? With good gameplay, especially with those PS5 graphics, because I do have a PS5 myself personally, right? I don't have a lot of time these days to play it, but I do have a PS5. So, and here's the funny thing. You guys remember there was a stream a couple months ago when on that stream I got a text about PS5s being available. That's how I got my PS5. It was in the middle of a stream that I got a text that PS5s were available. After that stream, I went out and got my PS5. I am grateful to have that, even though I don't really have time to play these days anyway. But still, I hope that WWE 2K22 is at least playable, right? I'm looking at this trailer right now. They have Jeff Hardy in it, and Jeff Hardy is no longer with the company. How hilarious is that? Well, at least I hope WWE 2K22 is playable. I really do. Edward says she feels so comfortable with the fans. I guess you're talking about Sasha Banks, and I agree with you there. All right, Gabriel. Uh, Gabriel says, Sasha Banks' pay-per-view route in 2022. Wins the Royal Rumble, defeats Charlotte at WrestleMania. Okay. Backlash, retain over Natalia. Then at June, retain over Shotzi. Money in the Bank, retain over Shayna. SummerSlam, retain over Trish. That's solid. That is solid right there. Solid start. A solid start to Sasha's reign. I have no problem with that. Right? I think that's the big match we all hope Sasha gets. Let's hope she finally gets that Trish Stratus match that we've been waiting years for. But what's more important to me than anything, of course, is Sasha winning at WrestleMania this year. I do think she's gonna win the Royal Rumble, and I think this will finally be the year she gets that WrestleMania victory. By the way, someone tell me, is any of you guys going to WrestleMania? Like, I'm not planning on it right now. But I am, at least a little bit intrigued to see what WrestleMania tickets are looking like. I always like looking at how expensive WWE wants to be with these things. Like I said, man, if you guys have questions, put them in the chat. This is going to be a chill stream. So I'm just casually looking at, let's see, 2-day combo. Let's see what they got for WrestleMania. Oh, mm, they got some solid seats. So some of you guys who are interested, go to WrestleMania. Hmm, interesting. Very, very interesting. Thank you, Amine. Thank you for a happy new year to you as well. Okay. Let's look back at some of the WWE from this year. I have like a bunch of games downloading on my PS5 in the background. And I'm getting like all these little text messages. I just got the Oh yeah, I did remember there is no SmackDown tonight. There is no Smack well, it's not that there's no SmackDown tonight. There's more it's more instead of for SmackDown tonight, they're doing the best of WWE in 2021, and it's on FS1. It's not even on Fox. I don't know if there's any big sporting events happening on Fox tonight, but on FS1 they're doing the best of WWE in 2021 instead of doing, of course, SmackDown. We know, of course, we have the day one pay per view, which, of course, if you guys haven't already, make sure you guys are here tomorrow night after day one goes off the air because we will be reviewing uh that show live right here on the channel, right? But on SmackDown tonight, they are gonna talk about Becky Lynch, her SummerSlam return, Big E winning the WWE Championship, uh John Cena's return at Money in the Bank, Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, Edge versus Roman Reigns, and Edge versus Seth Rollins. So hey, you know, and then we're gonna talk about some of the moments from WWE right now. Like I said, if you guys have questions, let me know. What games am I downloading? I have COD. I have Xenoverse 2K. I'm really what I'm doing right now is I'm transferring all my PS4 games to my PS5, pretty much rendering my PS4 useless. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with my PS4. I've had my PS4 for 4 years now. I don't know. I could sell it because in theory I don't really need the PS4 anymore, just because all my PS4 games are on the PS5. So there's really no point. Plus, I have all my saved data on a hard drive, and it's already been transferred over. So I don't know. I might sell my PS4. We'll just see what happens. My favorite, and well, I'll say this: my favorite NXT match in general this year, right? War Games was great. Samoa Joe versus Karrion Cross. I love that match. I hate how dirty they did Samoa Joe. How Vince just took over and they stripped the title from Samoa Joe. They tried to say it was injury when it wasn't. It was just that Vince didn't want Samoa Joe as champion, which I find to be pathetic on WWE's part. Because I was really excited. I was wicked excited to see what they would do with Samoa Joe's title reign. Really, I was super excited for that, and we never got it. We never got it because Vince McMahon doesn't recognize talent. Uh, yeah, Samoa Joe and Karrion Cross. I would say I really did enjoy Waller and from what was it Takeover a couple months ago. Was it Drago? Remember that match? I remember we were watching that match live during my SummerSlam review. Was it my summer? It may have been my SummerSlam review. I don't know, but who did Waller? I forget who Waller faced at when he lost the NXT UK Championship. That may have been the best match. That was one of the best matches in wrestling this year. You know, yeah, Dragunov. Thank you. You know that match was absolutely amazing. I love that match. I, we were watching it live, I think, during the SummerSlam review, and that podcast ended up being close to 3 hours just because we were watching NXT Takeover while while that was going on. I love all three of Adam Cole's matches with Kyle O'Reilly. Right, NXT like they had some great, they had some fantastic matches this year. I'll say this as well. My favorite thing from NXT all year, even though NXT took a step back this year, and that's because of Vince. My favorite thing from NXT all year easily was the Indy Hartwell and Dexter Loomis storyline. I love that storyline. I love Indy Hartwell. I personally want to see her become the NXT Women's Champion at some point. That's one thing. If she doesn't get called up to the main roster, I think Indy Hartwell should become NXT Women's Champion at some point in 2022. I love her. I love Dexter Loomis. I love that storyline. I hope WWE keeps them together on screen for a long time to come. But yeah. Uh, I'll easily Dexter Loomis and Indy Hartwell. That was my favorite thing from NXT all year long. Uh, what am I gonna react to in Winter Anime 2022? Well, here's the thing. I'll say this, even though this is a WWE stream, I'm answering all questions. Uh, Attack on Titan starts next week. Not this week, but next week. Attack on Titan season 4, part 2 starts. So I will be covering that. So you guys can get weekly Attack on Titan reactions probably every Sunday, from me here on the channel. You got, I'm thinking about doing Demon Slayer as well. I watch Demon Slayer every week. I've been watching the Entertainment District arc, so I might start reacting to those episodes because Demon Slayer is really heating up with that arc. Uh, I'm forgetting what else. What else do we have for winter anime? I don't know. Like I've always thought about Boruto and One Piece, but I just don't know if people would enjoy that on this channel. Since we're so heavily focused on Dragon Ball and My Hero, and Attack on Titan. So Roy Nason says I got to catch up on Attack on Titan. It's Attack on Titan, not you. You said an S. You said Attack on Titans. It's Attack on Titan, my bro. Okay. But yeah, I don't know what else I would react to. Anime's kind of slow right now. So Attack on Titan for sure, and maybe possibly Demon Slayer. We'll see what else. There could be a couple others, but those are the two I'm looking up. And the thing about it is, I still need the Postal's Attack on Titan reactions from last season. I still have two reactions that I never posted. So next week, without a shadow of a doubt, I will be posting those live on the channel that also, kind of build up the hype for season 4, part 2. So expect some Attack on Titan reactions next week to get us hyped for part 2 of season 4. Alrighty, let's look back at some of WWE from 2021. Any of you guys in New York? Any of you guys like going to the crystal ball thing tonight? I've always wanted to do that. Maybe like one day when I get married. When I get married, one day I definitely want to, take my wife down, God willing, and then, experience that. Because it's one thing to watch it every year on TV, but, definitely at least once. once I do want to go to the crystal ball myself and experience that. Hold on, this I'm looking up. I'm trying to see. Hmm, trying to see. Looking at some of the big moments from WWE. See which ones I want to talk about. When 12 hit tonight, people are going to be crazy out here. Oh yeah, of course it's the new year. Plus, I think everyone's looking for a fresh start. What's crazy is we said the same thing about 2021 at the end of 2020. We were all hoping 2021 would be a great year for everyone, and for some people, 2021 was worse than 2020. So, honestly, I'm just hoping that 2022 just brings blessings and good health. That's all I'm looking for in 2022. But anyway, uh, let's look back. Bad Bunny teaming up with Damian Priest to battle Miz and John Morrison at WrestleMania 37. Right. Well, actually, no. Well, let's go back a little bit further. Right. So the Royal Rumble. Let's start there. The Royal Rumble. Our two Royal Rumble winners from this year was Edge, for the men, and Bianca Belair. And for the most part, I remember sitting here, for that Royal Rumble review, and for the most part, I was okay with the Royal Rumble winners. You know, and it was pretty obvious. It was pretty obvious, that both of the Royal Rumble winners were going to pick the champions on SmackDown to compete against at WrestleMania. We all knew what right away that Bianca Belair was going to go after Sasha Banks. Even though they teased Bianca and Asuka, you knew that they were going to do Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. With the history that was there, and that being a dream match for so many people, you knew that's where WWE was going. And of course, they made the right choice by having Bianca go after Sasha. Edge, you could have made the debate that, or the argument that Edge versus Drew McIntyre should have happened, but Edge versus Roman, that was the big match, and you knew WWE was gonna want to have Roman, get a big name victory at WrestleMania over the likes of a legend like Edge. You kind of knew that. It was kind of like, yeah, we know where WWE's going here, you know, and I'll give credit where credit's due. Uh, it led to one of the best triple threat matches in recent memory with Roman, Edge, and Daniel Bryan. Still get goosebumps to this day watching that match. That match was done perfectly. And what's crazy is when you look back at Roman, Edge, and Daniel Bryan, you hear Daniel Bryan say in interviews that still he wasn't feeling it. He wasn't feeling it at WrestleMania. Of course, it wasn't the typical WrestleMania. It wasn't the typical 75,000 crowd that you usually get. It was only about 18,000, right? Even though there were still a lot of people in that arena, in that stadium. And so I just look back to Daniel Bryan just saying how he wasn't feeling it for that WrestleMania, how his passion just wasn't there. And still, with a lack of passion, he was still able to go out there and put on an insane performance like he did. Like, you would have never thought Daniel Bryan felt that way with the way that match went. Right? That match was great. Oh man. Roman, Daniel Bryan, and Edge absolutely killed it at that Mania. Killed it. Chucky dolls, I don't think they sell. Actually, no, 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 Casey. You're wrong on that. If you go to Walmart or Target, right? If you go to any of those big stores, they do sell DVDs of the pay-per-views. I do, yeah. I remember earlier this year they had like the WrestleManias and the WrestleMania Backlash. They're like $10, which doesn't make, I don't know why anybody would buy DVDs and Blu-rays in this era, unless you have like a home theater, right? And something like that. You have like a like $1,000 home theater, but they do still sell the DVDs of the WWE pay-per-views from this year. Right? I remember they had the Royal Rumble and the WrestleMania and WrestleMania Backlash, and I was surprised. And they were selling them for $10. I was like, for the price of this, you can get access to the WWE Network on Peacock and get every single WWE pay-per-view ever done. I still don't under I guess that's for, older people that don't, convert to streaming services, that I guess just want to have the DVD pay-per-views for collectibles or whatever reason. But yeah, they do still sell DVDs and Blu-rays at the WWE pay-per-views. Casey says, I meant they're no longer gonna make DVDs and Blu-rays anymore. Well, they shouldn't. It's honestly a waste of money going forward. They shouldn't waste money on that, but I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I agree with you there. They shouldn't. And hopefully they don't do that anymore. I see some of you going on about SummerSlam with Becky. Yeah. Like I said, I don't really want to rant on tonight's podcast. I just want to, sit back and relax and just talk. But hey. But yeah, like I was saying, at the time, Edge and Bianca Belair winning the Royal Rumble, like I had no issue with that. Not one issue whatsoever, you know? But it was just really the build towards WrestleMania, not really the build with Edge, Roman, and Daniel Bryan, because the build, that build was perfect. I remember when Daniel Bryan was, injecting himself into the title picture. Because remember, think about it, before Edge won the Royal Rumble, right? Daniel Bryan was my pick. I remember Daniel Bryan was my pick to win the Royal Rumble. It wasn't Edge, it was Daniel Bryan. And I was so disappointed uh when he got eliminated from that match. I was like, no, this is the year to do it. All those years, like 2014, 2015, when Bryan was at his peak with the Yes movement, right? And they never gave Daniel Bryan the Rumble victory. They gave it to Batista or Roman Reigns instead. I was like, all right, this is the year. You're in the Thunderdome, right? And everybody was like, WWE would be stupid not to do Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Where, Roman Reigns, he was still kind of in the early stages of his heel run, right? Being the number one heel in the company. And, Daniel Bryan and the Yes movement, having that for the first time with a crowd in over a year at WrestleMania. It was supposed to be built up as something special, right? And Edge won it, and people weren't complaining really, about getting Edge and Roman at Mania, even though I was kind of saying, if you guys remember at the time, I did say that, if I would do Edge and McIntyre for the WWE Championship, and then I would do Roman and Bryan for the Universal Championship, right? But the way it all worked out, we got Lashley and McIntyre for the WWE title, and then we got the triple threat. And I remember when Bryan and Edge were feuding, right? The build up to that match was done perfectly. How Daniel Bryan got incorporated into the match, you know, and Edge just going to madness, in the story of Edge 10 years, right? 10 years after relinquishing the World Heavyweight Championship after WrestleMania 27. The story was perfect. The story was done perfectly. And the match itself was great. Everything about that match, probably it was the best triple threat match of the year. I know some people want to say Sasha, Bianca, and Becky from Crown Jewel. Some people even bring up how Strowman versus McIntyre and Lashley. But all those triple threat matches were great, and I gotta give WWE credit. If there's one thing that they did good or well this year, is they did a lot of really great triple threat matches. a lot of great ones, you know. But easily, I would say Sasha, Bianca, and Becky had the second best triple threat match of the year because that main event at WrestleMania Night 2 was fantastic. Everything from Roman Reigns talking shit to the crowd, Daniel Bryan and Edge headbutting each other, trying to get Roman to submit, Edge going to Madness with the concerto, right? Everything about that match was fantastic. Fantastic, right? And really, when it comes down to match of the year, it's that match and Sasha and Bianca. Honestly, I put those two matches on par. I love both of those matches so much. Both of those WrestleMania main events were fantastic. And you think if WWE knows if WWE knows anything, they should easily next year they should be planning on having both Sasha and Roman Reigns in the main event again for WrestleMania, right? 'Cause I have no idea who Big E defends against at WrestleMania. Like you could do Edge, you could do AJ Styles, right? There's a lot of people you could have Big E go up against if he's still WWE champion around WrestleMania, which he should be. But clearly, for since WrestleMania is going to be 2 nights again, you should have Sasha. Uh, you should have Sasha and what's his name? Sasha and Charlotte probably main event night one, and then have Roman against either McIntyre or Lesnar or whatever. Whoever Roman faces will probably main event night two. So if WWE knows any good, Sasha and Roman should easily be the main event for both nights of WrestleMania again this year. Chucky says, did John Cena retire? No. What? Well, you've seen him retired. We would have all known about it. Cena's a part timer. Come on, I think Cena will be at WrestleMania this year. I believe Cena's going to be at WrestleMania. We'll see what happens in the next couple months, but all signs point to Cena being there for Mania. I think that's what he said. That he was going to take a break. We know he's filming a lot of things right now, but he should be there for Mania. I don't know what you would do with Cena for Mania. Not gonna lie, I kind of would like to see Cena versus Edge again. I think Cena versus Edge at WrestleMania one more time. I think that would be great. I guess some people will throw out maybe Cena versus Goldberg. I'm not interested in that, but how WWE wants to always do the big legends matches, right? But with the way Goldberg is now, I'm not interested in seeing it. We know that Cena can still wrestle at a high level, but we know Goldberg can't. So personally, I don't want to see it. Uh, maybe give me something like Cena versus Bobby Lashley. Give me something like that. I don't know. Like, who do you guys think Cena should face at Mania? But I guess definitely like Edge, Lashley, Goldberg, those would probably be the biggest contenders for Cena to face at Mania this year. It's not gonna be McIntyre. I know people wanted them to do Cena McIntyre, but if McIntyre is probably gonna be in the WWE Championship or gonna be in the Universal Championship match, so I just don't see it happening. But I don't know, bro. Why are you writing in all caps? Do you if you see me talking about something, right? I'll get to your question when I get to it. You don't need to write in all caps. I can see the chat. Don't be that annoying guy, bro. Like I see that you deleted your message too, Amine. Like I'll get to your question when I get to it. Oh, Chris says Brock versus Bobby at Mania. Yeah, I actually forgot about that. Yes, if Lesnar doesn't win the Universal Championship at day one, and I don't think he is. Remember, Lesnar is a free agent. You can easily do Lashley versus Brock at Mania. Finally, give us that dream match. I'm with it. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, I would have no problem with that. Brock versus Bobby at Mania. Hell yeah, I'm with that. Good shit, Chris. Uh, Miami says, "What did I feel about Zia Lee's debut? I didn't really care about it that much. I feel like it looked a little bit ridiculous with all the graphics, right? It reminded me of like something out of Dragon Ball, like with all the like energy lines and all that. I understand they were trying something different. They wanted to make her look cool, but I have no faith in WWE when it comes to the women's division. So I have no faith that WWE is going to do anything with Zia, being a contender in that women's division. Hell, who knows what's going to happen now? Tony Storm's gone. If you're trying to save Sasha and if you're trying to save Sasha and Charlotte for Mania like they should, right? Charlotte's gonna need a challenger probably for at least the next 2 months before they get to Sasha. You know, maybe Zia Lee is built up. I don't know. I of course I don't trust WWE to use her and have her become SmackDown Women's Champion. They're not gonna do that, especially with WrestleMania on the horizon. But like I said, I have no faith in WWE when it comes to the women's division. I could see something that maybe Asuka eventually comes back and they do something where Asuka and Zia Lee maybe become a tag team, right? Asuka's had a lot of tag team partners, but it would be, I guess, another version of the Kubaki Warriors. Remember what Asuka and Kyrie saying they were a really good tag team for well over a year. I could definitely see Asuka coming back. I would love to see Asuka on the SmackDown roster. Maybe they have Asuka and Zia become a tag team. Maybe, I don't know. I just don't have any trust in WWE when it comes to Zia Lee. Right? I see some of you guys saying Naomi. Naomi's still feuding with Sonya Deville, but hey, I'm not against that either. JD just posted. Oh, and this sounds very interesting. Hold on. Wow. I didn't even know about this. So JD reported, he said that WWE released its preview article for the title versus title Carmelo Hayes versus Roger Strong match for New Year's Evil and revealed the new name of the unified belt. So they're basically unifying the cruiserweight and the North American Championship, which I don't understand why they're doing that. Like, but it seems like once again they're trying to erase everything that Triple H did in NXT, right? So now they're unifying the cruiserweight and North American title, and now it's going to be the NXT North American cruiserweight title. That's a horrific choice. Just another example of WWE erasing everything great that Triple H did. Pathetic, if you ask me. Pathetic, pathetic. Wow. It doesn't even like surprise me anymore with WWE. It truly doesn't. WWE just doesn't care. Like Vince thinks he's some kind of master booker, master creative strategist these days when he's just pathetic. Sorry, man. But it's not even like enough for me to get mad at anymore. It's just like you just shake your head. You shake your head because this guy does not know what the hell he's doing. Look, let me find JD's video. I want to, you know, I want to. I want to see what's this big spoiler that we got for. I want to see what's this big spoiler we got for day one. So we're gonna do that live. I'm not gonna watch the whole video on here. That's not what we're doing. I am very intrigued to see what this big spoiler is. Hopefully, it's important. Skip. all of their efforts into making it feel as special as us. As of this, Vince McMahon declined various pitches to change the presentation of the show, including the ring ropes, the mat color, and more. WrestleVotes tweets out, and I quote, in coordination with the Day One theme, multiple presentation ideas were discussed for rope colors. I don't care about that. The box. They don't care. They absolutely don't care about that. People in the community, they don't want to admit that. So the same thing happened here on Monday night. Vince wasn't even there. Bruce wasn't there as well either. John Laurinaitis was running. Whatever he may be, ordered this sign to be removed, and it was removed within seconds. Needs another title taking up roster space that means absolutely nothing to anybody there. No need for a cruiserweight championship. Now we got this match with Hayes in a ringside melee. Clearly, this is not me talking. This is a grain of salt, but I've already talked about this already in the last couple of weeks, building up to this match at Day One tomorrow night. WWE's house show schedule for the month of January may have potentially given away the end result of this Saturday's Day One main event between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. They said Roman's winning. House show lineup had Roman Reigns teaming with the Usos to take on Drew McIntyre and the New Day in a six-man tag team match main event. The announced lineup for the live shows now has Drew McIntyre scheduled to challenge the Universal Champion in the main event, whoever that may be. Now, while the card is always subject to change with WWE, especially at the house shows, and especially as of late with all the new COVID restrictions and people being out, and WWE wanting people to remain out for their recommended time so that they are available for Day One, card is subject to change. But this would indicate that the current plan is for Reigns to win his match against Lesnar, retain the Universal Championship, wrestle Drew McIntyre at this house show or the next string of house shows, simply because Brock Lesnar does not work the house. Well, that was a waste of time. That was obvious. That was obvious. Anybody surprised by that? Yeah, the second you hear Drew McIntyre versus the Universal Champion at house shows, you got to think of Roman Reigns, because Roman Reigns actually works house shows. Lesnar's only worked maybe less than 10 house shows, probably since 2015. He's worked like a couple of Madison Square Garden house shows. I know that. I think he did that special in Japan a couple years ago when I think he beat Kofi Kingston. But Lesnar doesn't work house shows. He never has, never will. He does maybe one a year if you're lucky. So clearly, well, like I said, Roman's probably gonna win. I feel like it's pretty obvious. We'll see what happens with the whole Paul Heyman deal, but I think we all know Roman's not losing that championship, anytime soon. WrestleMania maybe, because I think what's gonna happen is, Drew's gonna face Roman at WrestleMania, and then maybe we'll get Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar, the match we've all been waiting for. Who knows? Maybe we'll get Brock Lesnar versus Big E. Would you guys honestly be surprised by that? Lesnar's a free agent. He can do whatever he wants. I would not be surprised if that he turns heel right after Day One because he's frustrated after losing to Roman Reigns again. He comes over to Raw. He F5s Big E, and then that's next. That's what we get, right? Lesnar versus Big E at Mania for the WWE Championship. Because right now, there's really no obvious choice to who's going to face Big E at Mania. There's no choice. Like I said, it could be Edge, it could be AJ Styles, it could be Seth Rollins, right? There's a lot of potential names, but I think for the most part, it's I would not be surprised if Lesnar's the one that they have challenged Big E at Mania. It would be right in WWE's formula, right? You have Lesnar challenge for one world title, he fails, send him right over the Raw. Because if you don't, we know that Lesnar will be on WrestleMania's card, no doubt. So they could easily They could easily have Biggie appear on Monday Night Raw and have him face, Biggie at Mania. I hope not, to be honest. I would rather go down the route of Biggie versus Bobby Lashley and finally giving us that dream match. But we'll see what happens. But I'm not surprised by the report at all. I feel like we all, you know, even though I'm not gonna, say that Brock can't win tomorrow night at day one. I feel like it's like a 95% chance that Roman wins, and then 5% chance that Brock wins. I don't know what will happen. They'll probably do the whole interference thing again, which is, in my opinion, drawn out, but we'll see what happens. But, you know, we'll see. And yes, Edward, I agree with you. I would be scared for Big E now. I would be terrified because honestly, Big E should not be losing that championship anytime soon. There's really nobody built up to take that title off him. And if you have Brock come in and challenge Big E at Mania, I feel like it's pretty obvious, or at least, yeah, Lesnar would be the heavy favorite going into that match. But well, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I am a little bit scared now. Now, when I think about the idea of Big E versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship. Hopefully, it doesn't happen, but it is something we do have to look out for. Yeah. So many tweets today. Rest in peace, Belly White. Ooh. I'm seeing a bunch of pictures of Sauce and Charlotte from the house shows. Yeah, rest in peace, Belly White. All right, anyway, let's get back to it. So we were talking about the Royal Rumble, right? And then we talked about, not much really going to WrestleMania season. We did remember the Miz did hold the WWE Championship for about a week. Remember when they had him take the briefcase from Otis, which was sad because Otis should have never won the Money in the Bank briefcase if they were never going to use him in any role. Oh my gosh, we have another question. He says, "How do I feel about Brian Danielson versus Heyman Adam Page?" I'm fine with it. I'm excited for it next week. I think it's going to be a great match. I have no doubt that Heyman Adam Page will win. I love Brian Danielson, babyface or heel. He's still fantastic at what he does. But I have no doubt that Page is going to win. They had a fantastic match a couple weeks ago on Dynamite, and I think they're going to run it back. And it could be even better this time. But I have no doubt in my mind that Hangman Adam Page is going to retain. Don't even have to think about it. AEW, they're very, very big on long title reigns, especially when it comes to their world champions, which kind of makes their TV a little bit predictable. If I'm not gonna lie, there's no way, especially when you built up uh, Hangman Page the last 2 years, really. There's no way he's losing it, even though no one would complain if Brian Danielson was the AEW World Champion. You know, uh, I think it's pretty obvious that Page is retaining that title. He's probably going to hold that title for the majority of 2022. I would say probably the next person to take that title from Page probably going to be MJF. Probably going to be MJF. Then it'll be CM Punk. It just feels the way the story's going. Maybe they do something else. Maybe CM Punk, beats Page before MJF. But usually the way AW goes, it goes heel face, right? Jericho first, then Moxley, then Omega, now Page, right? So going by that pattern, it'll probably be MJF, who takes that title from Hangman Page here eventually. But we'll see. We'll see. But it should be a great match. I am planning right now to be back here on Wednesday night to talk about it right after it goes off the air. So we will talk about everything that happens with Heyman, Adam Page, and Bryan Danielson after Dynamite next week, their first show on TBS. But like I was saying, remember back with WWE, the Miz did become WWE champion. I forget what I think it was Fastlane, right? They had him cash in on Drew McIntyre. And then they had Bobby Lashley become WWE champion, and I was very, very happy when they did that because you guys know how much I love Bobby Lashley, right? Especially him being an African American. It was great to see him finally reach the top of the mountain. And Bobby Lashley, I've said this before, Lashley was a dominant, WWE champion. He was a pretty good WWE champion. The only weaknesses he has is he's not the best when it comes to promos. He's not that great when it comes to promos, but everything else he was solid at. Plus, I talk about how great his suit game is. Like if I could ask Lashley one question, I would ask, well, where does he get his suit game? Because if there was a Bobby Lashley suit line, I would definitely invest in that. Hell yeah. That guy knows how to dress. But yeah, so Lashley was great as WWE champion. Then we had him and McIntyre open up the first match of WrestleMania. I remember there was a rainstorm where WrestleMania did get delayed because of the rain, but luckily both the show was able to happen in its entirety. And then McIntyre and Lashley, they killed it. It was great to see Lashley actually get cheered at WrestleMania. He actually got cheered. He didn't get booed. He got cheered. McIntyre actually was getting a little more of the boos at Mania, but that was great. And of course, the highlight of, the other highlight of WrestleMania, of course, there was actually two highlights. First off, seeing Vince McMahon and all the WWE superstars on the stage, that was fantastic. Like you remember some of those images of like Rhea Ripley crying, right? That was very, very heartfelt, especially since at that time we had been in this pandemic for about a year, and just to see everybody there, and just to have the fans back in attendance, it was a great moment. And then Vince to say, "Welcome to WrestleMania." That was fantastic. It was a great moment. Plus, we also had Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny, well, had maybe the breakout performance of the year. Bad Bunny, man, he was great. He was great. His match with Damian Priest and Miz and Morrison, man. Like no one expected Bad Bunny to be that good, but that was an epic moment from night one. It's part of the reason why I would say night one was probably better than night two, but still, WrestleMania it did its job this year, even without a full house. It was still a solid WrestleMania. Uh, and then of course the main event of night one, in my opinion, the best moment of the year for WWE, right? For a lot of people, they have it as the match of the year. I'm not gonna argue with either way. If you want to say Roman versus Daniel Bryan versus Edge, or if you want to say Sasha and Bianca, it doesn't matter to me. But the moment of the year goes to Sasha and Bianca at night one of WrestleMania. We can complain all we want about how the build was and how the build could have been done so much better. But the match itself, the moment itself, right? Bianca Belair was crying before the beginning of the match. Her makeup was getting anywhere. I love how Sasha was trying to get Bianca to be serious, but still it was an epic moment. It was a great moment, and the match was fantastic. The only thing I can complain about is, of course, the finish, and especially knowing where we are now, right? Knowing where we are now and everything else that happened this year, especially with SummerSlam and Becky Lynch's return. Uh, Definitely, I think it was a bad decision to have Sasha lose at WrestleMania. I would have saved that moment till SummerSlam And I will never forget how all throughout the first couple months of the year, you guys in every single podcast, every single review, every single video, I would debate with you guys about Bianca and why she didn't need to win at WrestleMania and why they should have saved it till SummerSlam. I will ask you guys this question one more time, and this will probably be the last time I ask it for a long time. No, if you guys knew what was going to happen the rest of the year with Bianca returning and all that other stuff, would you guys still had Bianca win at WrestleMania? I'm not going to really debate you guys. Uh, I'm not going to sit here and debate you guys on this, but if you knew what was going to happen the rest of the year, would you guys have had Sasha lose to Bianca at WrestleMania? In my opinion, Sasha should have never lost at Mania to begin with. They should have saved it, for SummerSlam. They should have saved it for SummerSlam. But, I'm not going to sit here and beat the horse that I've been beating all year. I'm seeing guys in the chat, and I'm liking the answers I'm seeing, right? But it is what it is. We can't go back and change history now. The match was epic from everything to Bianca press samming Sasha to the hair whip spot. The match was amazing. But still, my only real complaint, of course, is Sasha losing to Bianca. They should save that for SummerSlam. But still, it was WWE's best moment, right? And of course, Sasha elevated Bianca to the highest degree possible. Something that Charlotte and Becky have failed to do all year. Failed to do. Night 2 of WrestleMania, we had night 2 was kind of weak, in my opinion. The highlight of night 2, of course, was Cesaro and Seth Rollins. Their match was epic. Seth elevated Cesaro to the highest degree, and WWE did nothing. Cesaro, after that, he had that match with Roman Reigns. I don't remember what pay-per-view it was. It may have been WrestleMania Backlash, whatever it was. They had their feud, and Cesaro has done nothing ever since. That match should have carried Cesaro into the main event as one of the top baby faces in the company, and he's just completely fallen. He's back in the mid card doing absolutely nothing these days. But still, looking back at it, it did nothing for Cesaro in the long run, but in the short run, it was an epic moment, and it was fantastic. It was fantastic. And then, of course, we've already talked about how great the triple threat match was uh between Roman, Daniel Bryan, and Edge. I do remember that Empath Warrior. Yes, I do. And sad. Probably the biggest moment in wrestling all year is CM Punk's return. If I'm being serious, we could talk about Sasha and Bianca at WrestleMania. We could talk about John Cena return and Money in the Bank. We could talk about the triple threat match with Roman, Edge, and Daniel Bryan. But probably the biggest moment all year for professional wrestling, without a doubt, was CM Punk's return to professional wrestling. Easily. It was an epic moment. It was an epic night, right? And it sucks that WWE thought that Becky Lynch coming back was going to be the answer when it wasn't. They thought bringing back Becky Lynch and Brock Lesnar was going to be what, how WWE could counter CM Punk's return. It failed, but just seeing CM Punk come back to wrestling 7 years when there's so many people that thought he would never come back. It was an epic night. His promo, everything to the t-shirt, which I do have that CM Punk t-shirt. I love it. Everything from the t-shirt to the ice cream bars, the promo, the entrance, him jumping into the crowd, everything from that moment and that night was special. And easily that was the biggest moment of 2021 for professional wrestling, without a doubt. But back to it. So after WrestleMania, they did Roman versus Daniel Bryan one more time, and then of course that would end up being Daniel Bryan's last match in WWE, as he would head to AEW a little bit later on, right? And then for the most part, WWE just kind of went flat. They went flat for the next couple months up until Money in the Bank, right? Roman just ran through Cesaro, uh, and really not much was happening. Lastly was the WWE champion. Bianca Belair's SmackDown Women's Championship reign was pretty weak, right? They just kept doing Carmella matches. The matches with Bayley were fine. Like they were fine. They were probably the strongest part of Bianca's reign, but WWE during this time was just weak. The Raw Women's Championship was just flipping hands between Rhea Ripley, Asuka, and Charlotte. It was bad. It was bad. Things did pick up a little bit once we did get the Money in the Bank in July, right? WWE finally was able to go back on the road, finally get back in front of live audiences, and then some pretty special stuff happened. And easily, probably outside of CM Punk's return, my favorite moment of the year was the return of John Cena at Money in the Bank. That was a special night. It was a pretty good, pay-per-view, right? The low point was Nikki ASH winning the women's Money in the Bank match. It should have been Naomi or Liv to this day, but yeah, I hated how that match just ended, in the most what's the word? In the most like most boring fashion ever. You have all the women fighting on the top of the ladder, and then all of a sudden you see Nikki just grabbing, and everyone was like, wow, what? Like I was like, really? No drama? You're just gonna do a rush finish like that? And the thing is, Nikki ASH only got to celebrate for a couple seconds. Only got to celebrate for a couple seconds. And then you go, and like, I don't know what happened after that. Oh, I do. Nikki ASH, like the next night on Raw, she cashed in on Charlotte, and she won the title, but here's the big thing. She only had like 30 seconds to celebrate. The second she won the title, they went off the air. It's like she won the title 1, 2, 3. All right, let's go to our next show. So it showed you that they had no care in Nikki ASH. It was just another thing that elevates Charlotte, right? It's probably part of the reason why Tony Storm left. Because what happened 3 weeks later, right? Nikki lost to Charlotte at SummerSlam, and they gave Charlotte the title right back. Pointless. They gave Nikki ASH the title just so they can get Charlotte another meaningless title reign. That's really what it was at the end of the day. And it's just another example of how pathetic WWE is. Uh, I see some more questions. When do you think Bayley will return? Probably, Bayley's thing happened in June, right? June, July is. They said she would be out for 9 months. I'm willing to bet Bayley's gonna try everything to come back for WrestleMania, right? And like I said, I would not throw it off the table that maybe we get Bayley and Becky at Mania. I would not throw that off the table. It could happen. It might happen. You know, uh, you know, if Bayley doesn't come back at Mania, Bayley could come back the night after Mania on the first Raw after Mania, but right around WrestleMania time, I expect Bayley to be back. There is there's a small chance she could be back for the Royal Rumble. I just don't think that she has that John Cena gene where she's able to heal and recover that quickly, but we'll see. But I'm not gonna throw it out the window. But I don't think we'll see Bayley until right around WrestleMania time. Right. Yeah. All right. Going back to Money in the Bank, I already talked about how WWE mess up Nikki ASH. Right. That was the weakest moment from that night, but for the most part, that was a good show. Biggie winning the Money in the Bank briefcase. That was a great moment. I was so happy for Biggie when he won that contract. And then we had Roman Reigns and Edge in the main event. They had a long match, but their match was stupendous. Even though you knew that Edge wasn't winning, but it still was a great match. But of course, uh, probably my favorite moment from this year happened after the match, and that was the return of John Cena. I was shocked because I was hoping it would happen, but everyone was saying, all the dirt sheets said that Cena wouldn't return until the SmackDown after Money in the Bank, right? But I was still on my hands and knees. I was so like, it could happen tonight. And when it did, I was in shock. I was like, I actually turned into a kid again because growing up, Cena was my favorite WWE superstar. And I was geeking out singing the theme song. I was going crazy in my bedroom. I was like, let's fucking go. The crowd, it was honestly one of the greatest pops I've ever seen. Probably Cena's greatest pop ever, right? But it was such a fantastic moment. And even though you knew Cena was only coming back really for 1 month, people didn't care because after all the years that Cena had gotten booed, everyone was like, they saw what WWE was like without him. And now that, Cena was being appreciated. He was being appreciated now because people knew that we're not going to boo Cena anymore. We're going to enjoy the moments that, we have, Cena here, and it was absolutely, it was an epic moment. It was a great moment. Let me see. I'm gonna play Cena's return for Money in the Bank just because I want to. I haven't looked at this in months, but this was easily my favorite moment of the year. Roman Reigns is talking shit, acknowledge me, and then all of a sudden, you know, what a moment. Even like Michael Cole and Pat McAfee, they had no idea Cena was going to be there. The sad thing is, nobody in WWE now can get that type of reaction because WWE doesn't build stars like they did with Cena back then. What a moment, bro. I'm getting goosebumps listening to this. My time. It's been months since I've seen this clip, bro. I missed you. I missed you. I missed you. You see Michael Cole clapping. And if you watch, I watched clips of Cena's promo from other people's perspectives. You see, like Michael Cole, Pat McAfee, the whole time were clapping during Cena's promo. It's like there was only a couple people that knew Cena was set to return that night, but it was an epic moment. Even though we knew Cena was not going to be there long term, he was only going to really be there for SummerSlam. And still, the Cena and Roman Reigns promo segments were probably some of my other favorite moments from this year. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I low key was Cena beat Roman at SummerSlam, but it is what it is. I still hope one day we get that 17-time world champions, John Cena. It needs to happen. It needs to happen. I hope I just want one more long Cena comeback. Kind of like what Edge is doing right now. I just want to have Cena for one last, run for like half a year or to a year, but still the story was great with Roman. The promo segments were great. The match was great. You know, I was hoping Cena would win, even though I knew he wasn't going to win. But still, it was an epic night. It was an epic moment. Easily my favorite moment of the year. Then moving into, of course, SummerSlam, right? I was actually wicked excited for SummerSlam this year because of Cena versus Roman. And of course, remember around that time, Sasha Banks, she had, taken time off after WrestleMania. She came back a couple weeks before SummerSlam. She officially turned heel on Bianca in one of my favorite returns of the year. Cena gets the best return of the year easily, but Sasha had an epic return herself when she returned and she turned heel on Bianca. I was so hyped for SummerSlam. You had like RK Bro coming together to become the Raw Tag Team Champions. You had Edge versus Seth Rollins, which was a match of the year candidate, right? Edge and Seth have about 2 or 3 matches that are up there when we talk about the best matches of the year. And their match at SummerSlam was absolutely fantastic. But probably the biggest thing on this night, of course, you remember we did have Brock Lesnar return in the main event with the beard, which was pretty cool. Even though I knew Brock Lesnar was going to come back, I didn't really move a muscle at all because I was thinking, you know, all right, you just had Roman beat Cena. Who you got to go higher now, right? You know, who you got to bring somebody on the level of a Cena now to face Roman. And Lesnar came out. I was not surprised at all. I didn't really move a muscle. I was just more geeking out of Roman or at Brock coming out with the beard and the ponytail. That was the funny part about that. Uh, but of course, as hyped as I was for SummerSlam, they killed it with what happened with the whole Sasha Banks situation. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about it. I've talked about it enough. I've done videos on it. It's some of my, my best videos of the year, to be honest. I'm not gonna sit here and go over how pissed off I was. This could arguably be WWE's biggest creative blunder of the year. The way they handled the whole Sasha, Becky, and Bianca situation at SummerSlam. You guys know my thoughts on it. If you guys are new to the channel and you don't, just go look. There's a whole playlist. You guys can go hear my thoughts. You guys can go hear my rants about how they handled the whole Bianca, Becky, and Sasha situation. You know, I was so hyped for the rematch between Sasha and Bianca, and then something happened with Sasha and COVID and all that, and she wasn't able to make the show, but they still marketed her for the show, which is one of the reasons why I'm so pissed off. Why would you make us all believe that the match could still happen if you knew Sasha was not going to be clear to go for SummerSlam? And then, of course, Becky Lynch came back. And it wasn't the fact that Becky Lynch had come back, because I was actually excited to see her back. It was good to see her. But, they had uh uh but the whole thing was Becky Lynch beating Bianca in 26 seconds. That's the whole problem. That's where everything went off the rails. Because you had Becky Lynch come back, talk about how she wanted to turn heel and how she wanted to elevate Bianca Belair, but she did nothing. She did nothing to elevate Bianca Belair. She did only everything to elevate herself in the process. So much to the point people booed Becky at SummerSlam because they were so disgusted with it. If you wanted to have Becky become the SmackDown Women's Champion, there was 1,000 other ways you could have done it. But here's somebody that you had built up all year in Bianca, having her win the Royal Rumble, having Sasha elevate her in the highest degree possible at WrestleMania, just to pretty much burn all that to the ground with the way they treated Bianca at SummerSlam. It's that simple. It was probably WWE's biggest creative blunder of the year. And still, I don't forgive WWE for the way they treated, the way they handled that situation. I don't. It's pathetic if you ask me. Pathetic. Nothing we can do about it now, of course, but you guys know how I feel about that, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm not gonna sit here and rant about it for 30 minutes. I had the videos on the channel. Go check that out if you guys want to go relive those rants. Yeah, Casey, I know those quotes. Like I said, we may never find out. We probably won't find out. We probably won't find out what really happened with SummerSlam until Sasha retires. Sasha's a very private person. She doesn't really like her business being out there. So we probably won't find that out until Sasha one day retires. But yeah. And Amine says, imagine Liv Morgan wins. I want Liv Morgan to win tomorrow. I know she won't. All right. I know Becky's not losing that title before WrestleMania. Right? But I would love to see Liv Morgan win the Raw Women's Championship tomorrow. I know it's not gonna happen, but that's just my opinion. My opinion. Then moving into the fall, right? Moving into the fall months, WWE really didn't have too much happening here. The biggest thing probably that did happen this fall before we had the WWE draft was Big E becoming WWE champion, which we all wanted, of course, right? We all wanted Big E to become the WWE champion, but uh The way they handled it was terrible. They had Big E come back. One of the best things about Money in the Bank is you never know when someone's going to cash in. But the last couple years, not just this year, but the last couple years in general, WWE has, it's like they've completely forgotten how the whole Money in the Bank concept is supposed to work, right? For what's happened with Otis and Nikki ASH, right? And Big E. The problem with Big E is, excuse me, they had Biggie announce that he was going to cash in on Monday Night Raw in Boston, right? Instead of making it a surprise and making it into a bigger moment, they had Biggie go on Twitter and say he was going to cash in on Monday Night Raw. He even cut a promo saying, Bobby Lashley and I don't know who Lashley defended the title against that night. It doesn't really matter. He said that he was going to cash in on whoever wins that match, and there was nothing that was going to stop it. I was like, why? Well, how hard would it have been to have Biggie show up as a surprise? Why did they have to make it so obvious? It was still a great moment because that crowd in Boston was amazing that night. That was probably the best Raw crowd all year, you know? But still, it was just disappointing that JDB just didn't have Biggie, have the surprise cash in. It would have made the moment that much sweeter. It was great to see Biggie win the title, and I was happy for him. I just hated the whole way WWE approached this situation. You know, uh, but it's still it was probably the biggest moment of the fall from WWE's perspective. Uh, I just hated the way they handled that. Another creative blunder on WWE's part. Then we had Crown Jewel, right? Crown Jewel. Oh no, well, we had Extreme Rules and we had Crown Jewel. Crown Jewel low key was one of WWE's best pay-per-views of the year. The card was great. We knew the crowd was the card was looking like almost like a mini WrestleMania card going into that show. You just didn't know how it was going to deliver uh since it was in Saudi Arabia. But the crowd was great. The card was great. It was actually a really, really good show. Seth Rollins and Edge's Hell in a Cell match, one of the best Hell in a Cell matches in recent memory. It's right up there with the Sasha Banks Hell in a Cell match trilogy. But it was fantastic. That show was great. Sasha, Becky, and Bianca were one of the best triple threat matches of the year. Great stuff. And you had Drew McIntyre and Big E. They had a great match. Goldberg and Bobby Lashley. They actually had a surprisingly good match. Uh, like for the most part, it was a pretty well done show. Pretty well done show. And then you had Lesnar and Roman in the main event. Uh, and then going into the rest of the year, really, Survivor Series was all right. So even though there was no stakes involved in Survivor Series, the big thing for me, of course, is like you should have had Big E win. Big E should have won at Survivor Series. There's really no necessary. Roman didn't necessarily need the win. The WWE has this addiction of Roman just being put over everyone. I'm telling you, when Roman loses that title, they have to have Roman just put over everybody that you know put him over the last year and a half. Roman has a lot of receipts that he needs to make promises on and make good on. You know, after he eventually loses that Universal title, because they've put him over everybody, right? But like I said, Biggie should have won at Survivor Series. I'm sticking to that to this day. But yeah, other than that, really, that brings us to the end of 2021 from WWE. Let me look in the chat. Amine, what I have a question for you. Why do you keep deleting your messages and then copy and pasting them? You realize I can see every time you delete a message. I've noticed like maybe like 20 times you deleted messages just to repeat them. Like I don't know, like are you trying to get someone's attention? Like what are you doing here? Stop deleting your messages. There's really no need for you to do that. Uh, but yeah, honestly, yeah, that's my day to be 2021 look back. Like I said, there was some great matches here and there. I'm not gonna say They weren't great matches from the triple threat WrestleMania, Sasha and Bianca, right? There was great matches. It was just from a creative standpoint, there was just so many creative blunders, and it was just disappointing. Another disappointing year from WWE. And then with all of the releases, like we talked about earlier, look, man, from a creative standpoint, WWE had so much potential this year, and they failed on it. It's that simple. They failed on it, and it was just another poor year. If anything, it was the worst year in WWE creative history. It really was. And it's sad that I got to keep saying that every single year because they have the best roster. They have more talent than they've ever had in the history of the sport. And they just continue to fuck it up. Is that it? Is that it? Uh, yeah. But other than that, guys, that's my 2021 look back. Like I said, when it comes to the best match of the year, it's really a toss up between it's a toss up between Sasha Banks and Bianca and the triple threat match between Roman, Daniel Bryan, and Daniel Bryan, and Edge. Really, Casey says, "What's my top 10 favorite matches?" Uh, that's probably another video. If I'm being honest, I didn't make a top 10 off the top of my head. I could, but mm, maybe let me think about it. Hold on. Honestly, it probably wouldn't be that hard. Uh, hmm. I would probably say the best match of the year, in my opinion. Probably okay. I would probably say number one was Sasha and Bianca from WrestleMania Night One. I'll say that was probably the best match of the year from WWE standpoint. Uh, this is without AEW, right? But I would say yeah, Sasha and Bianca from Night One of WrestleMania. Then I would probably say the triple threat match with Edge, Roman, and Daniel Bryan. I would say that's probably number two. I would probably say number three would be Edge and Seth Rollins in their Hell in a Cell match from Crown Jewel. That, like I said, that was one of the best. That was one of the best Hell in a Cell matches in recent memory. So I'd probably say that match was number three. I would probably say Walter and Dragunov was number four. That match from Takeover 36 was absolutely epic. So I'll probably say that was number four. Number five, I would probably say Sasha, Bianca, and Becky from Crown Jewel would probably be my would be number five on my list. Number six, I'd probably say Cena and Roman Reigns from SummerSlam. Yeah, from SummerSlam, I would say that's number six. Uh, Number seven, I would say maybe number 7, I would probably say Seth Rollins and Cesaro. Yeah, I'd probably say Seth Rollins and Cesaro from WrestleMania would be number 7. Number 8, I would say Seth Rollins and Edge from SummerSlam would be number 8. Uh I love Seth Rollins and Edge from SummerSlam. And yeah, I know some people are gonna probably say it should be a little bit higher, but I already have Seth Rollins and Edge from Hell in a Cell already that high. So yeah. Number nine. What would I have number nine? I gotta think about this for a sec. Let me think. Number nine. Maybe Reigns and Edge from Money in the Bank, maybe? Yeah, I mean probably Reigns and Edge from Money in the Bank. Probably be number nine. Yeah, and then number 10 to round things up. you could put any match really. I'm just trying to think. I don't know. You could put maybe the War Games match uh from Takeover this year, right? Team Black and Gold versus Team 2.0. So that would probably be my top 10 right there. So once again, I would say try to remember this. Sasha and Bianca from WrestleMania Night 1 would be number 1. Number 2 would be Reigns, Edge, and Daniel Bryan from WrestleMania Night 2. Number 3 would be Edge and Seth from what was it? Crown Jewel Hell in a Cell match would be number 3. Number 4 would be Sasha, Bianca, and Becky. Number 5 would be Walter and Dragunov, right? Number 6 would be Cena and Edge from SummerSlam. Number 7 would be what do I have number 7? I think forget I'm already forgetting. 7 I think was Seth and Cesaro from WrestleMania. Number 8 I think I had yeah, number 8 was Edge and Seth from SummerSlam. Number 9 was number 9. I'm forgetting what number 9 was already. Uh oh yeah, Roman and Edge from Money in the Bank. And then number 10 would be uh War Games match with Team 2.0 uh versus Team Black and Gold. I'm kind of surprised I don't have I'm kind of surprised I didn't put Samoa Joe and Karen Cross in there. I'm also kind of surprised I don't have any of the Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly matches in there, but that would probably be my top 10 from this year. So yeah, let me write that down in the chat real quick. I'm gonna write that down. Give me a sec. Oh, I spelled his name wrong, but whatever. There you have it. That's my top 10 matches of the year, right? And like I said, you got Sasha Banks in there. You have you have a little Bianca in there. You have Walter in there. You got a lot of Roman, Edge, and Seth, right? So those are the names that stand out. And when we talk about the best, the best, the MVPs of WWE this year, I already did a video on this earlier this week, but I'll repeat it very quickly. When I look at the MVPs of WWE this year, I would say Roman, uh, yeah, I would say I'll put Roman like in no specific order. I would have Roman, I would have Edge, I would have Seth Rollins, I would have Bobby Lashley, I would have Bianca Belair, I would have Sasha Banks. Those are the MVPs from WWE that I see for this year. So yeah, there you go. There you have it. That's my top 10 matches of the year. My like I said, my favorite moment for so very quickly, so that's my top 10 matches of the year. My pay-per-view of the year would probably be Crown Jewel. Yeah, I'll probably say Crown Jewel or WrestleMania Night One. So Crown Jewel or Night One would be my pay-per-view of the year. Uh uh my match of the year is Sasha versus Bianca from WrestleMania Night One. I would say uh my favorite moment of the year was John Cena's return at Money in the Bank. I would say my female superstar of the year would probably be Sasha Banks. You know, Bianca gets a close second, but female superstar of the year, I would say Sasha Banks. And my male superstar of the year, I'm I would either give it to Edge or Seth Rollins. It's one of those two. You know, one of those two. Those two absolutely killed it all year. Maybe Edge just by a small margin. But yeah, that's that's my I guess my rewards for this year. So there you have it. There you have it. So I'll write that down and then we'll end the stream unless anybody has any more questions for me. Oh yeah, and moment of the year is of course Cena returning Money in the Bank, but moment of the year for wrestling as a whole is easily CM Punk. Easily CM Punk's return. Edward, why are you talking college football in this chat? This is not a college football channel. Come on, bro. Let me write that down. Your last chance to get any last questions out of me. I will be ending the stream here in just a couple moments. Man, easily, you know, Edge versus Seth. They get rivalry of the year. That should be a no blame. Uh, nope. I have nothing to say about day one. I'm not excited for the show whatsoever. Like, if I'm being honest with you, if you're talking about day one, I think Roman's gonna retain. I don't think there's gonna be any major title changes. Well, Casey, I can't give you worst match of the year. Like, like just go watch Monday Night Raw. I can't really give you worst match of the year. You know, like for the most part, a lot of the big matches for the actually, no, I got you, Worst match of the year easily is Becky versus Bianca. There you go, there you go. Worst match of the year was probably Becky versus Bianca at SummerSlam. Easily, there you go. Worst pay per view of the year? I don't know. I gotta think about that. I don't know. It probably was one of the Thunderdome pay per views. Maybe Extreme Rules. I didn't even really watch Extreme Rules, which is rare. Maybe Extreme Rules was the worst pay per view of the year. Yeah, Money in the Bank, SummerSlam. Uh, Extreme Rules. It may have been Extreme Rules was the worst show of the year. Survivor Series. Survivor Series was just boring. Nothing happened on Survivor Series. Survivor Series, you had a couple decent matches. RK Bro versus the Usos was great, right? I already said what's the best pay per view. I already said it. Best pay per view was Crown Jewel or WrestleMania Night One. Yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah, I don't even, to be honest with you, I don't even remember any of the. I don't remember the what's it called? The Thunderdome pay per views. I don't remember them. That's how bad they were, in my opinion. So like probably, so the worst show of the year probably was one of the Thunderdome pay per views, even though I just don't remember them. Maybe Fastlane or something. Probably like Elimination Chamber or Fastlane, one of those ones. We're probably when we talk about the worst pay per views of the year, and the worst match of the year was Bianca and easy Bianca and Becky from SummerSlam. But yeah, there you have it. That's my WWE review, my WWE my WWE year in review. We'll have to wait and see how WWE tops themselves in 2022. Do I have hope for WWE in 2022? I always give a little hope because you never know what can happen, right? Vince could die and Triple H finally takes over. You never know. But I don't have much hope for WWE the next year, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Amine, you're starting to get annoying. Stop copying and pasting your things. I can see when you delete your things. That's a little. It's getting a little annoying now. I can see when you copy. Like, stop. Please stop. You're writing something, then you delete it, then you copy and paste it. Like, please stop. That's your warning. Come on. You don't need to delete your message every single time just to copy and paste it. Anyway, uh, Your Bloated says best match Bianca and Becky at SummerSlam. And that's how I know it's time to end the stream, because I'm not going to sit here and start debating with you guys on this. I don't know if you're just trolling or whatever, but that's my code word to end the stream. So, all right. Thank you guys so much for joining me here, guys, today. A nice little chill podcast to talk about the end of the year, man. A lot's happened. A lot of negative, some good, but a lot of negative, man. But there you have it. There you have it. You know, I put my top 10 matches in there for you guys. Like I said, Superstar of the Year goes to Edge. Female Superstar of the Year goes to Sasha Banks. Rivalry of the Year goes to Edge and Seth Rollins. Worst match of the year goes to Bianca and Becky at SummerSlam. Best pay-per-view goes to Crown Jewel since WrestleMania Night 1. Best match goes to Sasha and Bianca from WrestleMania Night 1 as well. And then moment of the year, tie between CM Punk and John Cena returning uh, at Money in the Bank. So there you go. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the stream, man. Other than that, I'm gonna get out of here. You guys are amazing. Thank you guys for the love and support. Like I said, I will be back here in 2022, especially tomorrow night on the first night of the year. I'll be right here talking about day one. Like I said, we start the new year with a pay-per-view. So hoping that day one is good. I don't know really what to expect from the show. I'm not that excited going into this show, but we'll give it a chance. We'll give it a chance. We'll see what happens. But yes, day one tomorrow night. Make sure you guys are here, because right after the show goes out the air, we will be live reviewing the whole show. I don't know if it'll be a long pay-per-view review, if I'm being honest, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, thank you guys for all the love and support. Like I said, go check out all the other content I posted this week. We posted like four. Yeah, we posted like four podcasts this week. We had the Monday Night Raw review. We had on Tuesday I posted a little bit of an extra for you guys, talking about Sasha Banks and what she did and what to expect from her in 2022. Wednesday we had the AEW Dynamite review. I also gave my thoughts on Tony Storm, and then we have this. But also, like I said, next year, and then tomorrow night we have day one. So five podcasts is basically in 5 day span. So I hope you guys enjoy all the content I've been pushing out. If you guys are new to the channel, please subscribe, hit the bell next to my name, Fitzmonk TV, so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. Make sure to hit that bell next to my name. Also, make sure to follow me down on social media. The links in the description down below. Thank you guys for everything. I will see you guys in 22. All right. Happy New Year, you guys. See you guys later. Peace.